What's up, y'all? Welcome to the journey known as Iron 28 and stepping into Macrostax. I just wanted to tackle a few of the frequently asked questions that we have been getting and just see if I can help provide some more insight. And I'd love to hear more of those because if we're asking questions, we're thinking about it. And if we're thinking about it, we're trying. And if we're trying, we're going to make some progress, right? So Macrostax is what we're using. We've got a subscription for you to use with your team. There's a chat on there, but the biggest function is to track your food. And so a lot of people have asked, do I need to track my food? What is the benefit? That's a great question. A lot of times we over or underestimate how many calories that we are consuming. We're not aware necessarily of how much protein, carbohydrates, or fat. And so giving good feedback has to be vague and very general. And if we're trying to make a specific change in a specific amount of time, then we want to have specific variables to measure. Those are going to be the energy in with the knowledge of the energy out based on the questionnaire, which we'll go into a little bit later on to this. So tracking your food is also going to help with your relationship, your gauging of food, to look at it as an energy source. For instance, you're naturally, if you're tracking food, probably going to eat simpler food. You're going to make a very knowledgeable decision on what you're eating rather than just haphazardly eating around, knowing that you have to track it. Again, I'm going to go a little bit more into this and the details of it, of measuring and looking and using it in real time. But if something has a lot of ingredients to it, doesn't mean it's bad. Just means that there's unknown things in there. There may be extra fat, there may be extra carbs, there may be extra protein, things that you're not considering. And if you have to go in and figure out every single thing, you're probably less likely to eat it, which is good for a challenger diet like this, where you're trying to simplify the variables to track and measure those variables. Again, doesn't mean it's bad. And if you know everything that's in it, or if it's already on Macrostax, it can put it right in there. And even better, you can enjoy what you're eating and know what you're eating at the same time, which is the ultimate goal by the end of this, is for you to enjoy the process, get the results, and just be more knowledgeable about what you're doing so that you can make a informed decision on how you feel yourself. So that is why it's good. It's good to measure it and gauge what you're doing as well. So what kind of diet should you do? Another question that I've been getting. Great question. Technically, using Macrostax is a diet called If It Fits Your Macros. So you are measuring the three macronutrients that the three main energy sources known as carbohydrates, protein, and fats, which are on the back of every food nutrition label. And not to go too in depth into the differences and the physiology of that, because I could go into that for a while, or even the energy expenditure of those or what they contain. Those three main macronutrients are what are going to go towards your total calories in. And if we're trying to lose weight, change weight, gain weight, maintain weight, we need to know what that is versus what we're spending. So knowing what your macros are, whether you're on a special diet, you may have to tweak or change things. You may have to add or take things out. You're trying to hit that same expenditure. Think about a bank account. You might have different sources of income. You might have some that's cash. You may have some that comes in direct deposit. You may have checks that come in, but at the end of the day, they're all coming in and they come in at different times. They come in with different processing fees, but they're all coming in to your bank account. And if you're trying to gain money, if you're trying to liquidate and get rid of money from there, or you're trying to maintain, you need to know exactly what each of those sources are, when they're coming in, how they're coming in, and what your bank account is. So you've got to know finances, I guess, to get that metaphor. So apologize for that. How accurate should you be? We'll go into that last one. If you round, you're not going to be accurate and you're not going to get the desired result. The whole point of this is accuracy. The whole point of this is to know and have an idea of what you're putting in and what that food looks like, how much fat is in 90 to 100 grams a day, how many carbs is 200 grams of carbs, how much protein is 120 grams of protein. What does it look like split up over 3, 4, 5, 6 meals? It's a learning process. And at first it's going to be awkward and it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to cause friction, but that's the point of change is all of those things have to happen. So you need to be as absolutely accurate as you can. Again, avoiding very complex things is going to help So being simple, eating more simple foods. Again, it's probably going to be healthier choices if you're doing that as well. And it's going to lead you, it's going to hopefully prevent you from straying away from the diet that you're setting, whether it's if it's your macros or something that you're specific to, because you know that you have to account for it. So there's accountability to it as well. So you need to be as accurate as possible, even if it doesn't give you the desired outcome and your fats are twice as high as they should be, or your carbohydrates. You want to be informed on what's happening, so that you're not just guessing and saying, I don't know why it's not working. You know what was in it and what it was made of. How should you measure? So for accuracy, you have to measure. You can't just say it was like that much, a little bit, a lot, a little bit less. Weight is a great way. So using a food scale, you can put your bowl, your container on there, zero it out. Most products are going to have a weight on there, 327 grams or 14 ounces or 3 ounces. And so you can measure to that per serving. So even if you have 2 or 3 servings of it, you can put that into the Macrostax. You can also use like a container. So if it's half a cup of food, a teaspoon, a tablespoon, a protein scoop is technically a container of it. So you can measure that way as well. Again, all of those also include weights, which is usually a little bit easier and more accurate, which leads me into, do you measure before or after cooking? Make sure to know that based on what you're putting in. Macrostax will have both, I've seen on there for something like oatmeal. Oatmeal, rice are things that are very different, pre-cooked versus post-cooked weight or measuring. And then meat is generally measured pre-cooked because it's going to lose hydration. It's going to lose water when it's cooked. So 8 ounces of steak does not come out to be 8 ounces of steak at the end of cooking. So make sure that you know and that it's tracked, and that if it is post or pre-cooking, it should be on there, and will also be generally on your nutrition label, which we're learning how to read by doing this, I'm sure. Lastly, choosing your goals. When you got in there, you chose whether you're trying to lose weight, maintain, or gain weight. If you're losing weight, it is not the goal to undereat what's in there. It's already set for you to be below, and you need to have the energy and you need to have the right amount of carbohydrates and fats and proteins coming in to sustain your metabolism for the efforts that you're trying to put in, and to allow your body to unlock and work properly and actually burn fat and have energy and not just reduce your total energy expenditure. So the goal is not to undereat it and get, oh man, well, it told me to eat this, but I ate 1,000 less or ate 500 less. That's not the idea. Trust the process. I've heard from other owners that have used this in the past that this has been great for any members that have trusted the process, that the equations are really good to go by, really accurate. So eat at or as close to as you possibly can, even if you're trying to lose. If you're trying to maintain, eat at or as close to as you can on those 3 main macronutrients. And even if you're trying to gain, eat at or as close to. If you're going to work the process, we want to simplify the variables, and we need to trust those variables are accurate. Use the insights. You're going to see it has a calendar checking where you're at. You can put in weigh-in. So if you have a scale at home, hop on it. Try to do it at the same time every day just to put it in there. Don't have to worry anything else about it. That's going to help us as we're looking at it. Hey, maybe this thing is right. Maybe it's a little bit off, using that. So the more often you track doing so, and then more often you tracking your meals as you go. Don't wait till the end of the day. Don't wait till 2 days later, because you're going to forget about that little buntini that you ate or that half of a Tiff's treat. Just put it in there. Just put it in there. The consequence is the consequence. It's in there. You enjoyed it. Awesome. However, maybe you make a different decision later based off of what you have left, or you at least know, hey, I went over my fats today and it's because I had that cupcake. Hey, I don't have any carbs left for dinner tonight because I decided that I was going to have a sandwich at lunch. Whatever it is, just know what it is, move on, but be able to track it. So I hope this helps. Looking forward to discussing more, hearing more about it as you utilize this tool over 4 weeks. Trust that you're going to develop. It's going to get easier and easier and easier. Just have your phone there. You can scan the back of products. You can scan that label or look it up. It's got a pretty diverse, or you can enter it yourself if it's got a nutrition label on it as well. So measure it, scan it, track it, trust it, and let's see where we land.